Well, a month to talk about the mental health of men. The last question there was at the end of the day, who is actually really there for you? And men need to, learn to stretch the olive branch to the next person. And men really need to ask for help. But this is a conversation that we are not going to gloss over this morning. We're being joined by our guest, Dr. Obong Udofia, who is a consultant psychiatrist with the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Calabar, this morning. Good morning, Dr. Udofia. Thanks for joining us. Good morning, Dr. Udofia.
Morning.
Good morning. Yes, good morning. We can't hear you at the moment. I'm sure we'll hear you in the... Yes, we can. Good morning, and thanks for joining us. Okay, maybe you'd help us take the camera. You shift away from your camera a
little bit
so that we can see your face. Yes, that's a better view. Okay. Good morning. This month of June. Okay, my name is Uyai, and that's Francis, and that's Ime Emmanuel. Yeah.
Good morning, Dr. Udofia.
Good morning, everybody. Morning.
Okay.
Right. So we want to talk about men's mental health. The month of June has been set aside to have this very important conversation. On Sunday, we celebrated fathers, but sometimes we do not give a lot of time to talk about the needs of men. And this morning, we want to, contribute that as our quota. So we are looking at mental health statistics where the men are concerned. As a consultant psychiatrist, what is your experience where men and their, mental health, emotional health is actually concerned?
Okay, my experience about mental health and African culture, that you would have more of the females express themselves, so you would have more females come with mental health complaints, while the men would want to chest it since they are the men. So the culture doesn't really allow men to express their mental health concerns. So yeah, that's basically that. And the studies have shown that 25%, that's one out of four, have a mental health concern. So it's actually a big problem.
Serious concerns, they're one in every four. Let's come down to talk about Nigeria. You talked about culture and all of that. So would you say our inability to speak up as men has a great part to play in, the casualties that we fall into as men?
Yes, I would say so because, like I said, men in African context are supposed to be the provider. They're supposed to be the ones listening, taking responsibilities. So they don't have somebody else to look up to. They don't have somebody else to look up to. So with all the stresses, for example, the men who are married, they have the stresses of taking care of their family responsibilities, their children's school fees, and with the way the economy is, if the money is not meeting up, who can they complain to? And it's also known that if man complains, he's seen as a weak man. Okay, so all of these are mitigating factors that won't allow a man to express his concerns or his mental health concerns. And if we look at the word mental health, you'll see that its ability to be able to resist life stresses, to handle life stresses, and at the same time make a meaningful contribution to the community. So it's not just the absence of mental illness or the absence of hearing voices or the absence of using drugs. It's ability to comfortably be able to handle the stresses, the day-to-day stresses in the society, and make a meaningful contribution to the society.
Okay. Now, when you talk about mental health and men being involved, a whole lot of people will be wondering what exactly are the mental health issues that men will be going through. I would like you to, give us an overview of what mental health issues are all about, and the one that men are likely involved in, or that men could actually go through.
Okay. I'll begin by saying that men are human beings just like women. So whatever a woman goes through, a man goes through. So, a common mental health concern would be depression. Depression. Sometimes depression would present the normal way. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling weak. I'm feeling weak. I don't really have interest in doing the activities I used to enjoy doing. I don't have energy. I'm not sleeping well at night. Maybe if I go to bed, I lay. I'm awake thinking. I cannot sleep. When I wake up a lot earlier. So there's the depression. There's also anxiety disorders. And another serious mental health concern is drug abuse. Drug abuse is another serious mental health concern. The quick fix, in quote, is a quick fix towards the concern. So that's another issue. Then there are other mental health concerns, although this one borders around what they call psychosis, where there's bipolar illness, and also schizophrenia. So these are the concerns that plague a male's mental health. Then there's also concerns regarding feelings of self-worth. I'm not meeting up to my family responsibilities. How does the society see me? I'm not married now. I don't have enough money to get married now. These are concerns that will bring about this individual mental health symptoms I mentioned earlier.
These are really serious concerns. Now, one of the questions I'd ask is, in light of this economy, has the number actually, been on the rise in terms of how many more men you're seeing coming under the impact of mental health issues?
Yeah, the number has been on the rise, but the thing is this: with the way the economy is, it's difficult to assess mental health care. Reason is because the cost of transportation to facilities, the cost of getting hospital cards, the cost of consultation, things like that. So everything has increased. So they might find easier alternatives towards handling their mental health concerns. So in as much as the economy has made it much more difficult, one can say that majority of the financial responsibility borders on the man, and things are a lot difficult. So a man is going to be thinking, okay, what next? What do I do? What do I do? And with this thought, there's room for, I'm not adequate. I'm not meeting up. So definitely there would be some form of depressive feelings, depressive episode, and anxiety. I was once with a patient talking, and he told me, "Doc, I can't sleep. I have bad dreams every single day. I'm not meeting up." And this was now shown in terms of not being able to do his bedroom performance as a man. And then he actually presented with erectile dysfunction. So if I had not asked further to look at other aspects, you will think, okay, this is actually an organic thing, mismedication. But you find out that it was linked to his feeling of inadequacy. How would my wife see me? How will her family see me? So these are concerns that the economic situation has brought about. So yes, there is an increase in the mental health concerns of men, but the reporting can be less because of the resources needed to report, to talk to a consultant, to talk to a mental health professional. It's not free. We don't really have free healthcare like that in Nigeria.
So now there is a borderline that we need to differentiate. Usually when we talk about mental health, an average person, first of all, thinks of that senile person they see on the road who's already pulled off their clothes and, is eating from dung and all of those things. Dr. Odofia, please help us, differentiate at what stage, does it get to that point? And one of the reasons why people don't go for to get medical attention is the stigmatization that is put against the tag mental illness. So break that down for us and how people can overcome that to get the help that they actually do need.
Okay, I'll define two things. I think I defined mental health before, and I'll differentiate it from mental illness or mental disorder. The WHO, World Health Organization, tried to define mental health as where one has the ability to handle or cope with life's daily stresses, and at the same time is able to make a meaningful contribution to his society. So at any point, either of this individual facets of the definition is affected, one's mental health is at risk. Let me try to use an example. Let's say a person is doing his work, maybe he's a banker or maybe an accountant, he's able to do his work, meet his role. But the stresses, maybe the boss insult him, having family issues, he's taking more time to finish his tasks. He's not able to finish his tasks on time. Amidst his tasks, there are ruminations in his mind. Okay, he's slower. He's keeping to himself more. So he's having stresses, but the stresses he's having, he's not able to meet up. He's not able to handle or chest it and still make a meaningful contribution. So you might find out, okay, I'm taking more sick days off. I'm taking more casual leave or civil leave just for myself. On weekends, when people are relaxing and hanging with their friends, it's alone. Let me just calm down and get myself back. So you find out that the life stresses, he's not able to handle it. So one would say at that point, okay, my mental health has started being affected, kind of. And like I said before, about 25% of general people, they have one or two forms of mental health issues. Now, regarding a mental disorder or a mental illness, this is basically when you are having certain signs and symptoms that has begun to affect your functioning. Affect your functioning in terms of, okay, your personal hygiene has now changed. All right, your ability to relate with family and friends have now changed. Your ability to perform your roles at work or wherever you are has now changed. To the point that you are manifesting symptoms. Okay, a person is crying every day. A person is saying, I'm not getting out of bed. I'm just going to be in my bed the entire day. I'm not doing my household chores. You know, you mentioned where a person's on the road, tattered, not okay. So that's basically a form of manifestation of symptoms. All right, so that's the difference.
Okay. So, doctor, let's come down still to the men. It is believed that in the midst of all of this, talking out, like you mentioned, one of the things or one of the reasons why we are where we are today is because men don't talk.
Speak up.
But then, the men who speak out, oftentimes are being considered as weak. So, when you speak and maybe you cry and you're being considered as weak, how are we going to be able to get men to express their emotions without fear of being tagged a weakling?
Well, that would be a difficult question to answer because we operate based on culture. Culture doesn't really allow that. But a way to handle that is to, would I use the word, decide that, okay, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, I'm expressing myself to this person. So the first thing is to decide, okay, I know that the culture sees men as weak when they complain. So can I find somebody who I can identify with that I can complain to? That's the first thing. And usually, sometimes, in African culture, we have different organizations that could help men. It could be church, it could be social groups. So we could use these resources in the society to decide, okay, this person I'm going to express myself to. Also, there are platforms that can allow men to express themselves. For example, therapy. Therapy is something happening in Nigeria.
Yeah, it's on the rise.
Yeah, so this is a platform where a man can say, I want to express myself. I have people that talk to me, and these are full-grown men. They are so free that they express them. They say things that normally you would not catch a grown man saying. They express themselves. So things like, can there be an air, or can someone create more like the atmosphere where a man can feel comfortable expressing himself without judgment or bias?
Now, but therapy is actually not affordable for the average Nigerian. Like, when you even hear of therapy, by the time you think of getting access to a therapist, getting an appointment, and being able to pay per session for you to sit and unburden yourself, Dr. Odofia, therapy is not cheap. What are the other alternatives that an average Nigerian can actually engage? An average man can engage to unburden himself, you know, to step away from all these mental health issues?
Okay. From my experience, the first and easy and free way is physical exercise. When a person does physical exercise, some chemicals are released and the mood is lighter. It's lighter. Some neurochemicals are released. So you're now deciding. So okay, let me give you an example. The person is jogging on the road. His heart is beating faster. He's breathless. So the brain is now deciding: am I going to focus on thinking about my problems or the physical symptoms I'm experiencing? So that serves as a kind of distraction. You know, it's like this: when a person is at the point of life and death, certain receptors are shut off. The feeling of pain, stress, he has unnecessary energy. So exercise, aside from being a distraction, it's a mood lift. It lifts your mood, and it takes you from, let's say you are at a stress level of 10 to somewhere at a stress level of 5. So it brings it down where you can actually ration and think and problem solve or solve your problems. So exercise is one. Then number two is, I don't know if I should say this, but meditation, practicing yoga, you relax yourself, listen to good music, and just tell yourself, for the next 5 minutes, I'm only going to be focusing on the present. Okay, I go to a park, the birds are flying. Definitely thoughts would want to come into your mind. You have problems, but if you're telling yourself, for the next 5 minutes, I'm taking time to focus on what is in front of me.
Now,
so this is something that
Yes, sir.
all right.
Okay, Dr. Odofia, now you've made mention of a whole lot of things. Now I want to ask, at what point as a man do I need to know that, okay, I'm having mental health issues and I need to seek therapy? Because some men might be going through these mental health issues and because they just feel it's a normal thing. I mean, it's just one of the things being a man. So at what point or at what situation do I need to start seeking for mental or health therapy?
Okay, a man has the ability to heal himself from emotions and from stress. It's just a normal configuration. But where the stresses and the burdens are too hard that you're not able to, in quotes, self-repair or self-heal, then help is needed. And this help that is needed is not really something much. It's just to help you realign your mind, realign your emotions on letting the body's or emotional self-repair state commence. So at the point that you find that you are more unhappy during the day, let's even assume that you're a person whose happiness level is 6/10. Okay, that's how you are. Then suddenly you are noticing that, okay, I'm now at a 4. I'm at a 4. The work I used to take maybe 10 minutes to do, I'm now taking 10. I'm taking 10 because in between this, my work activities, I'm thinking. I'm finding I'm ruminating over my problem. So I'm taking time. All right. So the interest you used to have before, the fun activities, you don't feel that way. And lastly, you are not being able to meet up because there is no way you can be burdened with emotions and still be able to do your responsibilities as before. People will notice a difference. So the point that you are now not meeting up to your abilities, despite the fact that there's adequate resources. You have a nice family, you have responsibilities, but you cannot meet up. So this is the point where you need an external help. And it's also important to mention that, since drugs is a common thing, alcohol, okay, people will men will resort to this as a quick fix to my emotions. Quick fix. Let's be honest, when people sit down and drink it, for that short time, the drink takes away their problems. But sometimes when a person is now taking himself to use this quick fix as often as possible, then he needs to seek mental help. Yeah.
Okay, so doctor, let's get back to the family. A man is literally married, and a woman is supposed to be of great help to the man. But we find it very difficult sometimes that men are not even using the available resources within their homes, talking to their wives, confiding in their wives, being themselves before their wives. And sometimes you also wake up to find out that the women themselves are not giving their husbands the opportunity to be themselves.
Added stressors.
So that adds to an extra stress. So as a medical professional, is there some advice you could offer to wives and husbands towards, making the best use of what we have? Because if we are able to, befriend ourselves to that point, I think it would go a long way before we now even begin to seek help outside.
Okay, just two things. Number one, reduce expectations, and number two, improve communication. The reason why a man might not feel that freedom to have his wife provide ample support is because he has expectations from himself. I'm supposed to do this. My wife is not supposed to really put herself up there. So first thing, reduce expectations. The number two, the man needs to understand that in as much as he's a man, he's also a human being that has problems, that has emotions. He should understand this and be willing to take a chance. Now, about communication, most families don't really communicate about, babe, I need help. I need you to assist me. They don't really know how to communicate, because when a man communicates, sometimes how he goes about it, the wife might see it as weak sometimes, and other times the wife wants to help, but the man, his ego will be like, no, I can handle it, and that now puts pressure on him. So the wife or the man needs to have a platform where, babe, let's sit down together and talk as friends and as couple. I want to help you. How can I help you? So once a communication platform is set, it's a lot easier. Because the reason why this high expectations are there is because there has been no room for sincere and heart-to-heart conversation. And that's one of the reasons why people and families, they have problems. Communication is key. So summary, reduce expectations, and number two, communicate. Your wife cannot know what's on your mind. She's not God. Your husband cannot know what's on your mind until you use your tongue to verbalize it.
Use your tongue and verbalize it. Try to speak more often. So one of the questions I was going to ask, even as we try to wrap this up, is how readily do we have therapists around? Like, if I want to access a therapist right now, how easy is it in the Aqua Cross region? I know that therapy is really just coming into Nigeria. It's a big buzz. Everybody's in therapy. Everybody's going to therapy. But we're talking about professional, certified therapists that actually know what to do. In the Aqua Cross region, how readily available are they?
Well, I don't really know the prevalence or the number of certified therapists that there are in the Aqua Cross region. But the good thing is that we have virtual forms of therapy. So you can be in Aqua Cross and then get therapy elsewhere. But in Calabar, there are certified therapists. There are a number of therapists in Calabar that you can just access. For example, there are mental health facilities that one can get access to in Calabar, and even Uyo, even Akwa Ibom, Cross River State. They are there. But now the issue is that if a person wants to find a therapist, it's not that difficult, because you can simply type on Google therapy Calabar or therapy Akwa Ibom.
Okay.
So the first thing is to know, to search, just search therapy Calabar, therapy Akwa Ibom, and you'll come up with a list of searches. So, and even if you don't want to use somebody in Calabar or Aqua Cross, like you mentioned, you can also find somebody in another state, and you can have it virtually at the comfort of your house. And therapy is not that expensive. Maybe it's expensive somewhere in Abuja or other places, but in Calabar it's not expensive.
Okay.
For as low as now, please don't quote me, for as low as 3,000 you can get for an hour.
I said, please don't quote me.
I like the way you put that, doctor. Please don't quote me. So that somebody would not go and say, I heard Doctor
said it's 3,000
naira. How are you charging me this much?
It depends on the therapist you're going to. I know some therapists. I have a personal friend who is a therapist, and I know the charge is good because some of them have paid their dues. Dr. Duffy, has been so good speaking to you this morning. Just to put a wrap on this, if you were to tell the men of this country anything in particular, especially in regard to taking care of themselves and their mental health, what would that particular thing be?
I would advise men to open up to their partners. Open up to their partners. If their mental health gets in the way of their life, they can be replaced. So open up to your partners and get as much support from your partners as you can. Nobody can navigate this life alone. Nobody can navigate this life on his own. Man, woman, whatever you are, you need help. And having help makes it a lot easier.
Doctor, please, can you repeat that again? I didn't hear your last words.
Having help, getting help makes things easier. You're more happier when you have help than when you do things alone. You're more happier, you're more fulfilled. So having help makes things easier.
Having help makes things easier.
Thank you so much, doctor. I know you're intentionally doing that.
Yeah,
but somebody who just might even be on this side.
No, but at the end of the day,
where is the somebody? I mean, at
the end of the day, whether it's a friend, a brother, or a sister, it's important that we get help.
Partner could be anybody.
Talking is therapeutic.
Yeah, talk to anybody.
Doctor, I know that you can also agree with us that journaling is one of the ways that we can, dismantle. Just bring down whatever is bothering us. Yeah. So, would you mention journaling as part of the things that men can consider? Maybe just become a pseudo and an anonymous blogger. Write your stories. We'll all come read it and, give our thoughts.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Very, very important.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Duffy. I bet if I want to go, if I need a therapy session, I'll be calling your number one of these days. Thank you so much for coming on Rise and Shine this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Do enjoy the rest of your day. Serious conversation. At least I know two therapists now. I know Dr. Duffy. I know Udemo Connor. So those two persons, I can just subscribe to them. Even if you just want to unburden.
You can subscribe to me.
I actually want to go into this line of being a therapist sometime in the future.
Okay. You need to get certified.
As a natural person, I'm a good listener. Like, I'm big, and over the years we found out that people find it easy to talk to me, right? So I should make money out of it. What do you think? Just go get a certificate and actually use my natural born talent and sit down listening to you and give you one or two, what advice here and there.
It's okay if you want to go get a you also have to do.
That was something I was going to ask Dr. Duffy. Yes, it skipped my mind. Yes. The therapy.
In the course of you helping others, it gets to a point where it also gets to you. So you've got to be prepared to have someone you can also turn to, that you can open up to. It's like Barrister Emerita of the Kwabam Gender-Based Violence Intervention. There are days and there are yes to you. I mean, you see things every day, bizarre things, horrible things, terrible things. And you might at some point feel like, it's a normal thing I see every day. Yeah. You don't know.
It's one way or the other is getting to you.
So
I know.
To that point.
I know an addiction therapist that says she has like pillows in her bathroom. So maybe sometimes someone is seated before her and they're unburning and tell her, she'll just say, give me a moment. I'm coming.
Goes to cry.
She goes into her bathroom, then she puts her face inside her pillow and screams. Because by the time people sit in front of you and tell you some really gory experience,
and you're like, you're doing this.
Like this human being I'm seeing, this is really your experience. So
you can't express your shock.
Yeah, just like, excuse me for a moment.
You wouldn't want to express the shock in his presence.
No, you can't do that.
So
if you do that, once you do that, you lock down the person.
Yeah,
they're no longer able to express. So she just goes in and screams into her pillow, then comes out looking normal again and continues. Yes.
You go behind. Not Oprah Winfrey now. Joyce Meyer.
Joyce Meyer. Yeah.
You go behind and you cry your heart out, and then you come back. And you're smiling and you're talking to people, and nobody knows this woman is going through something.
I think on the average, this is where we can say that everybody should be nice to a male out there, and it's not only about a male, right? But I think oftentimes we don't pay our men as much attention as we ought to. The burden of being provider, protector, and all of those things. Wives should, like Dr. Duffy has established this morning, try to create the ambience around your home and your relationship for your husbands, your partners, your brothers to talk to you. Like, make it a culture. When you say, how are you, mean it intentionally. Give them that room. And one of you were asking, Doctor, why, husbands are not comfortable, talking to their wives. Sometimes women always weaponize the things that their husbands tell them. So we need to learn emotional intelligence around information so that we can be better partners to, I don't know what Francis is turning his head about, but
what I want you to say is, I think men should speak out more, speak up, don't man up. And a lot of times they're faced with a lot of situations. Speak out. The truth is, Dr. made mention of having a partner. The truth, sometimes your partner might not even be the one to you might want to share. It depends anyway, but have someone. It might be a brother.
But
it might
if
be
you're
a
someone
sister.
who has a partner, please, you should not keep your partner in the equation.
I know. Yes, I know. But sometimes, just like what he said, you want to open up to your partner that, okay, you need help, and she's not getting it. She's not understanding where you're coming from.
That's because you probably married the wrong person.
Because the crux of the matter is that men should learn to speak out.
But I want to attend to something you just said. See,
because I mentioned partner.
No, not partner.
Okay.
Manning up. There's a misconception that has been injected into the male personality. The thing that manning up means being strong and not speaking up.
Yeah.
So people equate manning up with bottling up. Manning up is not bottling up. Manning up is actually you being brave enough to
stand up to responsibility
and do the things you're supposed to do, irrespective rather of what culture, of what religion, of what society might think. I know that. Okay, for instance, I've cried on Rise and Shine set on one occasion. I cried, and
I really help these men on board, and
seriously,
and I'm glad that thing is working.
That flower.
I need to become a therapist.
Don't take that flower. Now, seriously, it was about a movie, So, and I literally cried on set, and I can remember the reactions of my colleagues who were inside the studio and the one backhead. I was like, why you cry? I'm like,
so men don't. So men are not supposed to cry.
Like, I'm getting emotional about a clip I just saw, and I'm crying. Or it gets to me just like it will get to me in a theater or in at the cinema where I'm going to see the movie. And you're telling me I shouldn't cry for crying out loud. Do I owe anybody? So it's just for men to understand that it is absolutely okay for you as a man to man up. And manning up is not about forming you know, you are the king of everything, and so you don't get to talk about things you need to talk about. You don't get to speak. You don't get to cry. I mean, literally, just know that at the end of the day, see, if you die, you are gone.
And I promise you, you'll be forgotten. Yeah.
Trust me.
Except you found the time to really be impactful with your life, you can just be gone and forgotten. But then, cheers to all the men out there who are bearing the burden of every responsibility, work, family, church, mosque, whatever the responsibilities are. We have established it. Try to talk to somebody today. But let's take a quick pause, and when we return, we'll be going straight to our newspapers. What's happening in Nigeria? What do we have to say, and which way Nigeria? Just after this break, stay with us.